Hey guys, for this video, the matchup I want to discuss is the matchup between Azrael versus somebody like the Punisher. Who do I think will win? Well, for this matchup, we got two fearsome, unrelenting, very courageous, completely just fearsome, unyielding fighters. They're both very courageous. They both have a lot of high battle IQ. They're both very phenomenal in their fighting prowess, just overall just experience, and overall just great determination to win. But who do I think will win? Well, you got someone like Azrael. I believe he was genetically modified due to the order that he was a part of. They were trying to strip him of his free will. He kind of became this assassin-like character. I believe that over time he kind of regained his consciousness / his free will, became a member of the Bat family. Though sometimes he could be kind of an anti-hero, and he could be a lot more extreme, a lot more rigid, and overall just a lot more brutal than most other Bat family members. But he is somewhat reliable. I mean, his battle IQ is pretty, exceptional. He's also very talented naturally. As it seems, he's a great fighter. His fighting prowess is quite, remarkable in its own way. But when you're facing somebody like the Punisher, does he have what it takes to win? Well, to break down the Punisher, Frank Castle, as we all know, the Punisher, his family was wrongfully killed, I believe, by the mafia or the mob. This kind of, influenced him / kind of, encouraged him, so to speak, to kind of, enact his revenge / retribution for those that did him wrong in his family. He will later, be known as a vigilante called the Punisher, and he became kind of somewhat cruel and somewhat wicked to those that kind of were cruel to the innocent. He didn't show no mercy. He was very merciless, and he was also fearless, in his act, basically becoming a one-man versus, all terror and crime in general, especially in New York City. But when you're facing someone like Azrael, the same person, that's able to go, toe-to-toe with people like Batman, Nightwing, I like the Punisher. I believe he has a lot of grit, a lot of determination. His willpower is essentially, prolific, and unyielding in its own way. He's not going to back down. He's not going to cower down in any way. He's going to put up one hell of a fight. But unfortunately for Frank Castle, I think he somewhat lacks a fighting prowess. And I think fighting somebody like, Azrael, someone like Azrael doesn't really seem to, have, little to no fear. I don't think he's going to be afraid of Frank Castle. I believe overall he's just a better fighter. Though he may have more experience, he is somewhat like an assassin type character. I believe over time, he could somewhat overwhelm someone like Frank Castle. Frank Castle has a problem dealing with people that are kind of on his level, but kind of, supersede his ability to kind of fight, and overall just, just a better strategist. I believe someone like, Frank Castle, though he can fight, he's a very phenomenal strategic type character. I think he falls short when facing somebody on the same level, someone like Azrael, especially when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. I think he would kind of get overwhelmed. He kind of lacks some of that finesse and overall just technical skill like someone like Azrael has. So for this matchup, I got to